Hello, welcome back to Whose Views and another in our series, The Sound of Whosic. Isn't it exciting, Paul?
It is. Hello there. How you doing?
As you can see, I am joined by Paul here because today we are talking about the Pescatons.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we are.
Look
Go
at
on.
us.
Yeah.
Look at us here. Aren't we sad, everybody? We've got our
We are.
original 1976 editions here. Absolutely superb. And this is, Paul, this is a story that is really a forgotten gem, isn't it?
Well, this for me is really comfort Doctor Who. This is for everyone for us of a certain generation. This is the first really recorded Doctor Who you had in the house, and you could play anytime you wanted to. And this for me is just an absolute joy. I love it.
We could play it anytime we wanted to and did. This had to be on for me every night. I fell asleep to this thing so many times. Well, I say fell asleep because part of it scared the hell out of me.
Oh, didn't it? Yeah.
But this, everybody, in case you don't know about the Pescatons, this is indeed a hidden Doctor Who classic, and it's absolutely ideal for our series here on The Sound of Whosic. So this was actually brought about, oh gosh, all those years ago. This is the original cover for the release, and this was released on LP and cassette by Argo, which was a division of Decca in July 1976. Oh my goodness. Sometimes it just seems like yesterday, but it was July 1976, and it stars the legends themselves. Yes, it's Tom Baker as the Doctor, with Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, and an appearance by Bill Mitchell as Zor, the leader of the Pescatons. Zor,
Zor,
fresh from his advert for a certain aftershave.
He's got a great voice, Bill Mitchell. He sounds like he should advertise straight to video movies. You know what I mean? Is that kind of like kind of voice?
I think he probably did, though, to be honest.
So,
yeah. So this is it here. Back to 1976 for this. It was written by Victor Pemberton, of course, who's a name that a lot of us will know from Doctor Who. And this is what makes me laugh about this. Even as a little boy of 6 years old, listening to this religiously every night, being a little bit scared about this and looking at that artwork as well, by the way. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Even though it's written by Victor Pemberton, he is showing very clearly here he's got no knowledge of Doctor Who at all, isn't he?
Well, what can I say about the piccolo? I always play the piccolo when I'm nervous. It relieves the tension. Yes. I thought he was writing for Patrick Troughton, but I'll let him have that. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, even as a little, as I say, a 6-year-old listening to it, I could forgive that a little bit, because I thought, oh no, that's the second Doctor with a record. You've got that a little bit wrong. But it was there's other things in there as well, isn't there? There's some of the dialogue where he's so unaware of the Doctor being a Time Lord. He's so unaware of the fact that Sarah and the Doctor have been traveling for obviously some time. Because she just said to him, "Just how old are you?" at one point, doesn't she?
Yeah. But I have to say, they both shine together in it. I'm sure there's an interview on this version, on the CD version that Mark Ayres does. He does a wee interview with Liz, and I think they had to adapt the dialogue a little bit because it was a bit clashing with the relationship. So I think, but they shine through. You can tell how much they adore each other, and that comes through in the dialogue and the performance very much, I think, and I think that helps considerably. I think.
No, I think you're right here, because there is, even though the characters are slightly different to what we've seen on television, they're still there. They do the actors do what they can with that script to bring in what they know the Doctor and Sarah are about, don't they?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. And I think you were saying earlier about it being scary. I think I have, like yourself, listened to this in the dark as a kid, and the music in this is so Doctor Who-y. It's fantastic. I don't know if that's a one Doctor Who-y, but we'll go with that. But
it is now, yeah.
It is now, yeah. But it's kind of it's got a lovely eerie quality to it, and the atmosphere is set up beautifully. And I've said this before. We said it on the Genesis one that he's Tom is made to narrate things. You've got the perfect voice to create an atmosphere, and it's just there's some lovely moments. It's quite violent for a thing, a record, for a family audience. It's got some really gory bits in it, I have to say, but it's very scary. Definitely.
Oh, it's fantastically gory. And what you're mentioning, it's strange that you mentioned that there, because over the years, as I've listened to this on whatever format I've got, because I've got it on the vinyl, I've got it on the CD, I've got it on the cassette. You can now obviously get it on download. You know, wherever you can find this, it's worth a listen. But it always has struck me in all these years that only the kids would have listened to this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the parents, like with this, I remember my dad getting me this, right? Again, from W.H. Smith, classic place to get all this sort of stuff, and leaving me to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as if they just thought, oh, it's Doctor Who. Oh, and there's Tom Baker on the front, Doctor Who. Oh, it's going to be fine. But actually, at one point, you're like, and you're right about Tom's voice, isn't it? I mean, it brings you into the story so well from that moment. The TARDIS sort of drifts down because you can tell it's drifting down.
It's got this wonderful thud as it arrives as well. It's like, that's interesting. Never did that before. Yeah.
No, but that whole opening scene is exactly what you're saying there as well, because it's very chilling. You know, they come out of the TARDIS onto a very deserted beach. In fact, let me read you the blurb here, actually, Who viewers.
Go on.
A lonely stretch of beach at night, a slithering sound approaching from the sand dunes nearby, and a roar to chill the hearts of even the most hardened followers of BBC TV's timeless space hero, Doctor Who, begins a science fiction adventure to thrill young and old alike. The Doctor and his companion Sarah Jane battle against some of the most heinous foes to emerge from the outer universe, the Pescatons. The Doctor finds himself in the capital city of London, where the population is bewildered and trembling beneath the violent onslaught of the merciless invaders. Now, that should have said to people, I should have said to anybody buying this, maybe I should listen to this with you.
Mary Whitehouse would have a fit if she heard that, I'd imagine. But anyway,
Can you can you imagine if you got? But it was brilliant though, because this is what children need as well. This sort of fright, because there's further on in the story, there's an element where the Doctor has to go into the Thames, isn't there? You know, and it's only when you get older and you start hearing this, he's surrounded by the decapitated corpses.
It's all the corpses of the previous expeditions. They're all floating about, and he has to get through to explore it. That's really scary. Yeah. But you're saying you set the setup at the very beginning on the beach.
Yes,
really builds the tension, and you hear the gnashing of the Pescaton's teeth,
and
the heartbeat, and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, the sound effects are really, really good.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Was it our Brian that did them? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. We've got here all the details on here as well. It's directed by Don Norman with engineers Robert Parker and Brian Hodgson. Sound engineers there, produced by Don Norman as well. Absolutely gorgeous stuff here. I'm a real fan of the Pescatons really as well, because it does bring back those memories of lying at bed trying to sleep under the duvet as a kid, you know, and just being like, oh, I mean, and that whole thing about the Pescatons. Boom,
well, the bit I think it's in episode 2. The bit that makes me laugh is the everyone's terrified of the Pescatons, and you can only say the name in a whisper, so it's Pescatons. And everyone's like, you know, that's fantastic stuff.
But even that's scary in itself, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
You know, and you can actually imagine these monsters in London tramping around, eating everything they get. You know, from the description the Doctor gives Sarah about what the Pescatons look like, it's immediately in your head. And I have to say as well, the beautiful cover helps with that, because this is what the Pescatons look like for years for me.
Yeah, well, that's it. On the CD I showed you, there's a different
we've got that
of the Pescaton.
Well, let's talk about that now, because how do you imagine the Pescatons to be from your recollection of this album?
Well, it would. I would have imagined them, or do imagine them, from the cover, because that obviously illustrates them really, really well. But they're quite an odd design, but I do like them. I always thought they looked like a cross between a fish and bat fin. They've got like a kind of like bat wing at the back. Is that a fin at the back? It looks like,
I think it's supposed to be a fin. Yeah,
fin. Yeah. But they look quite scary, I must admit. They sound really scary, I have to say. Just like I say, the heartbeat and the gnashing of teeth.
And that whirring as well in the voice.
Yeah.
The bubbling.
Bit in the zoo as well is very, very Quatermass-esque, I think. You know, remember, have you seen Quatermass Experiment, when there's I think the astronauts in the zoo, similar sort of feel to it.
Oh, that's true.
And when the Pescaton arrives, the same kind of atmosphere there. It's very quiet. And then just hear the heartbeat and the gnashing of the teeth, and then it attacks people in the zoo. That's just incredible.
I will always remember that heartbeat. You know, it was just a boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And I would recommend to any parents, get this on for the kids.
But like, it's got me into radio and audio drama and stuff like that, which I absolutely love. And I think this was what did it for me. And it's wonderful stuff. And it's one of these things I've played so often. So the record I couldn't play again. I think we said it previously, my chit chat, but the record was played to death, and there were scratches on it. And I had to, as you go along, you heard it so many times, you could do the words to it. And I had to adapt my dialogue to the scratches and stuff as I went along, because I wanted to do it exactly as it was. But my copy, as I said to you before, was signed by the man himself.
Isn't that fantastic? What did he write to you again?
He said, to Paul from Doctor Who, Tom Baker, September 3rd, 1976. So that was my first discovery of this album. And you said it came out in July. I had no idea about that at the time. But and I think it was round about, I think it was between parts 1 and 2 of Mascom and Dragger when I met him. So that was wonderful.
Right. And apparently it was recorded after Liz had left the series as well.
Right.
So it would have actually been her final Doctor Who, if that's all in, ready. So, but I mean, this whole thing, it's just so special. I mean, as you said here, we hadn't had anything like this at the time. This was an original Doctor Who drama. And it's just that, it's just captures everything that we need to know. Yes, okay, there were various elements where you just think you wouldn't make the continuity mistakes that they've got in this today, would you? Because the audience would turn around. But a part of that, it just shows the innocence of the time there as well, don't you think?
Well, I like. I mean, it happens more in the Hartnell and Troughton era. That there are lots of things in the comics and things like that, which are the continuity is very, very different. Which I like when it's not influenced by continuity too heavily. So that's quite nice. It is innocent, which is lovely. But the one that tickles me the most is "Hello, Dolly." It's fantastic. I love that bit.
You better explain what this bit's about for anybody that hasn't seen this yet, because we are recommending this as a must listen as part of our Doctor Who fandom.
Gem. It's a real gem, and I'm not criticizing. I love this. It's adoration I'm giving you, nothing else.
Absolutely.
But it's in the story, the Pescatons, a bit like Fury from the Deep, because this is a bit of Victor Pemberton's greatest hits, a little bit. He wrote the slide for radio, which Delgado's in, which kind of morphed into Fury from the Deep, and then we had the Pescatons. I mean, and it's a lovely idea. So it's not a continuation of the water theme for Victor Pemberton. But Hello, Dolly. Just to explain this, in the story, like Fury from the Deep, sound is used to fight against the monsters. Against the Pescatons, and they don't like noise, high-pitched noise particularly. Yeah. So Hello, Dolly, but the piccolo bit as well, and Hello, Dolly are musical things that affect the creatures. So Tom, to fend off, because they've got Liz and the Doctor have a baby. It's not theirs. It's someone that
I was going to say, reword that.
just to make sure it's not the new series.
They find a baby in the streets.
Yeah, it's not theirs. It's not the new series.
It sounds like a cat, though. Do you not think? I remember as a little boy thinking it was a cat at first.
At first, yeah. It's a little baby. And I love the fact the Doctor talks to the baby that can't talk. And he's like bewildered by that. It was fantastic. But so he sings Hello, Dolly to fend off the Pescaton, and Tom sings it beautifully, I have to say. It's lovely.
Yes, he should have been on stage with it, really, shouldn't he?
He should have been, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, it's actually a rare example of camp.
Oh yeah.
And so out of character in a sense for the Doctor and the Fourth Doctor to just suddenly start doing a song and dance routine, which is very topical nowadays, of course.
It's a bit season 17, isn't it? That sort of daftness of Tom.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is actually. And this is a few years before that as well, isn't it? Yeah, but again, it shows Mr. Pemberton's ability to, he's just writing the piece to suit what he wants to do here, because it works as well, doesn't it? The Doctor's eccentricities, which is obviously he's basing on the Troughton model, comes out here. The Doctor does this song and dance routine. You can imagine him with the cane and the hat as well, suddenly appearing out of his pockets, can't you?
Yeah.
And the Pescaton turns around, doesn't it, away from Sarah and the baby, and starts moving towards him. So it actually works for him. But the whole premise of this is the Pescatons are invading Earth because their own planet is dying. It's that old story.
Pesca's dying, yeah.
Pesca is dying, and the doctor remembers during the course of the story he's actually visited Pesca before, and there's this whole flashback sequence, which is beautifully done for an audio, where where he recounts to Sarah how the TARDIS took him to Pesca and how he met Zor, the leader of the Pescatons, and how he was terrified. And that doesn't come across often in Doctor Who, where the Doctor is actually terrified. This record nails it because he's really scared of these things, you know, and he's hunting desperately for a solution. But while he's on Pesca, I mean, there's an element where there's a part there where he just ran, he ran, and he ran. You know, that again brings it back to the listener. This is a serious situation the Doctor's in now.
What reminds me of is a bit like the Doctor's trip to Metebelis 3 and the Green Death, where it all went, you know, horribly wrong for him. It's a bit like that. It's a wonderful sensation, you know, of the Doctor being a bit scared, which always, as a kid, makes you a bit scared as well. You think, oh my God, the Doctor's in trouble, you know, which is always lovely, I think.
Yeah, and if he's running back to the TARDIS very quickly, you know something's wrong. You know he's not going to get out of it properly, so he's running for his life. I mean, that came across a few times in the 70s, didn't you, where you had those cartoon images as well of the Doctor running from his life away from whatever bother he'd suddenly found on this planet. I was always just very, you know, because I love this version of the Doctor. I love Tom's Doctor. I loved his portrayal. And at 6 years old, I'm still very impressionable here. I was so worried for the Doctor and Sarah. And this, you know, because I'd seen pictures of what London had looked like as well and what that was about, I could picture absolutely everything. And I was frightened on behalf of them. And this atmosphere on this album, it's amazing that something like an audio drama like here can make you feel like that.
Well, that's it. I mean, the atmosphere at London being deserted when the Pescatons invasion starts, you know, and at certain points when the Pescatons attack they attack the bus, and the screams and the roars, and you can imagine the Pescaton peeling off the top of the bus to get the passengers and stuff like that. It's fantastic stuff, you know.
Yeah, and the fact that this is, in case you haven't heard this, and we do recommend you go and listen to it because it's just brilliant. The Pescatons are flesh eaters.
Yeah.
Now, I can't account. I don't think that's ever happened in Doctor Who before, or since, actually.
Well, I mean, they relate to the shark, aren't they? That's what the Doctor says in the dialogue.
It's supposed to be a shark.
Yeah, so it's got very sharp teeth like a shark. So this is well, Jaws was, I think, a year before this, so you can get the imagery with that, I think. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, mate. I was too young for that.
Yeah,
I was not allowed to be Jaws for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe they were riding on the crest of a wave.
They may have been, no pun intended, yeah.
It's brilliant, and the whole thing about the Pescatons is you can hear them, so because you can hear them, you can put them into vision, and the fact that that lovely cover here actually gives you that illustration. This is by Laurie Richards, by the way, who designed and illustrated the album cover here. Laurie Richards. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's the image I had with those big green eyes, which look like sweets you could get at the time as well, little sort of fruit pastely sweets. They look like those. Yeah. But that's the image I had of the Pescatons forever. And you can actually see them in the story. But when I'm looking at it now at the age I'm in now, or when I'm listening to it now at the age I'm at now, that's the image I still see. I still see these big lumbering silver beasts, which are even more vicious, the Doctor says, than the shark, doesn't he? He actually more than less implies the sharks are nice compared to the Pescatons.
Yes. That's the Doctor for you. He's got a good sort of perspective and balanced point of view, which is good.
But the other thing about this that's magical as well is that although you've only got the three voices here, you've got Tom, you've got Elizabeth, and you've got Bill Mitchell, there are other characters involved in this. And although they don't speak, because Tom's narrating it in a certain way, you feel that they're actually there. You feel like you've sort of got to know them as a character that, if this was a TV show, they would be a main character.
There's a character that Professor Emerson, I think his name is, one of the characters who's another scientific advisor to the government. And I think he poo-poos the Doctor's theories and all that kind of stuff, which is, it's typical Doctor Who. Is very much what it was like when he was with UNIT, you know, and all that kind of stuff, which is a lovely touch to it, I think.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about all these other things that come into this. Again, because Mr. Pemberton here is showing he's either not aware of where the series is at this point, and why would he be, or the fact that he doesn't care. The Doctor's special powers.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I mean, this is quite interesting, isn't it? Here, you know, the Doctor talks about the powers he has been, you know, gifted with. And then there's other. It's alluded. Zor himself says, "We want your special powers. We will use your special powers." And you're thinking, what special powers exactly has he got? I thought that was just a little bit sort of mysterious.
It was a bit. I wasn't. It was kind of alluded to a little bit, but you didn't really know what they were. It didn't really say, did it? As far as I remember, there's not. I mean, other than the Doctor's regeneration powers, which we're all familiar with at this point, anyway, and the fact he has a TARDIS and can travel in time. Maybe the Pescatons want to invade other planets with the TARDIS. Who knows? But
I don't know at all. But and it just added to that little mystery there, because it was that it was the Pescatons that made me think, as a 6-year-old, there's more to the Doctor than I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was always waiting for things like these special powers to come out on the telly series. Bless.
It was said many times before, the program's called Doctor Who. And the clues in the title. So it's a mystery. Let's keep it a mystery. Little hints are fine, but that's all you need, just little hints. That's all.
Well, yeah, because in those days they weren't interested in the Doctor's backstory or giving him emotions or anything. I mean, it's sort of been lost in the modern era. But this highlights that, doesn't it? And if anything, you could argue, as some of my friends do, oh, that's wrong, that's a contradiction. But you could actually say, well, actually, maybe it's not. Maybe it's enhancing the character. Because at that point, 1976, we still did. There had only been 4 of them, and the 4th was still in his early days.
Yeah, yeah.
So we still didn't really know much about the actual character. And it's, as you say there, it was all in mystery.
And we're just about coming up to Deadly Assassin, and we'll get all the 12 regenerations backstory, and that's coming up soon at this stage of Doctor Who. But even that was just a little hint. It wasn't too much given away,
Yeah, it is amazing how this has been written and put together, though, isn't it? It's and the fact that Tom and Liz are loving this. You can hear them being able to. Oh yeah, here we are again, and we're going to do this, and this is new for us. I mean, this is a pioneering record in more ways than one.
Well, it is, and I think I'm really surprised. I'd be interested to know what the sales figures were like, because I think, as a Doctor Who fan, this is speaking from my point of view, I'm sure you agree on this, that if they had, the Return of the Pescatons for the next one, I'd snap that up,
Yeah, I have actually tried to look to try and find sales figures, and I just can't. I don't think they're available because it's so long ago now, and of course the companies would have moved on and what have you as well. So if the sales data is there, it's locked away under lock and key. But this is just, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's such a shame this didn't spawn a series of these audio. I mean, I don't know about you, but as a 6-year-old, I'm sitting there waiting for the next one. And I've been waiting for all these years.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, that's kind of really, the market was there for Doctor Who fans. I mean, this is prior to VHS, domestic video recorders. We had nothing, and this was the first step of getting your own adventure into your house to play anytime you wanted to, and all the time, as we've said already.
Every night.
Yeah,
every night for months and months and months. And the brilliant thing about this, of course, is that it's on 2 sides because it's the vinyl.
Yeah.
There were many nights where I didn't get to turn over the other side because I'd fallen asleep by that point.
Yeah.
And
then you had the record going.
Yes.
Stuff. Or depending on your record player, sometimes it would go off, wouldn't it? If you have the ones that were stacking, you play like 45s, and they'd do that like a jukebox, didn't they? Remember that? So,
I mean, I have to say the running time for this as well is only about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite quick.
I listened again last night and thought, God, it's a lot shorter than I remembered. I thought it was a bit longer, but when you're younger, everything seems to be longer, doesn't it? Kind of time is really, really slow as a kid, isn't it? So I think that seems. I thought it was maybe more of like an hour, but it's not. But it's great 45 minutes.
It's surprising.
Yeah,
it's surprising. It's about 45 minutes long, and a lot of that is done because we have to be honest here. The script abridges things, doesn't it? So Tom reads certain things. He'll read about Professor Emerson. We don't get to meet him, although you feel that you do. The response of the military and the police and everything like this is read by Tom. So it's very much concise.
Yeah, and it's done really well. I mean, I'm not. I've listened to other audio dramas later, and they've done similar sort of things, which I'm not so into. But this one is unique to me, and I think, like I said, it's got me into listening to other Doctor Who radio plays and audio dramas throughout the
Oh,
years.
totally.
But this, like I say, I'm really surprised they didn't do a sequel. That was such a shame. I know we got Genesis later, which was kind of its sequel in a way, but it's a shame we didn't get the Return of the Pescatons. Before Pesca was destroyed, or something like that. I don't know. But,
or even just another original story from another writer of the series.
Imagine Robert Holmes doing one, for instance. That'd be fantastic.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't, because that would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would have been amazing. I couldn't imagine. But it's a shame.
It's funny. I wonder why they chose Victor Pemberton particularly to do this. Was that a project that he'd got involved with himself, or did they seek out him particularly? Do you have any interesting facts on that, JT?
I don't, unfortunately. No, I don't really, because I tried to find out what I can from this, but the information about this is actually quite scarce. You just look into it, and as much of the information there is already been printed and read and all this sort of stuff. So it's just brilliant that Decca Argo actually thought we want to do a Doctor Who record, isn't it? And got on board with it, and then decided that it's going to be a story. I mean, what you were talking about, the audios there as well. This was a lead-in for many of us, myself included, into what audio dramas were all about. And starting to become aware of them and loving them. If it hadn't been for Doctor Who and the Pescatons, I don't know if I would have been able to sit down and listen to audio drama, radio drama. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree, because it's something you have to really be in the right mindset for, to get into the mood for it. I mean, I've said before, I'm a big fan of Big Finish. I've got a lot of this stuff, and I found more recently finding it harder to engage with it. And I don't know if that's just because there's too many of them or whatever, but I think having the Pescatons as a kind of training into radio drama helped me get my mind into that kind of mindset, to work, to listen to it, to imagine, because it's very different. It's a bit like reading a book, isn't it? You imagine, you've got descriptions of where places are, but your imagination does the rest. They fill in the gaps. Yeah. Whereas if you're watching something visually, like Doctor Who on the telly, that's all presented to you. So the imagination is very much part of it. It's like listening to the missing audios of Doctor Who stories, like Marco Polo or something like that. You've got your own TV program playing in your head.
Yeah.
And when you see it, like Return to the End of the World or Web of Fear, it was maybe slightly different to what you imagined in your imagination. But it's still a great way to listen to Doctor Who. And like I said, I wish they'd done more of it in the 70s, because I would have flapped it up.
Oh, I would have loved it. I would have absolutely loved it. The brilliant thing about the Pescatons as well is it's a strange cross between an actual audio drama and an audio book.
Yeah.
So where we are today, you can look at the Pescatons and you can actually sell it to the two different audiences there, because some people like the target audio books, for example, and some people don't, and some people like the audio dramas and some people don't. Whereas this one comes right in the middle, because you've got this whole play going on around you with Tom and Liz and Bill Mitchell, but you've also got Tom's narration of the script to you as well. In hindsight, it's actually really, really clever how they've done that without knowing it. It's what I would term this future-proof. You can listen to this at any point now in Doctor Who. You can listen to this today and get something out of it. You'll be able to listen to it in 5 years and 10 years and get something out of this particular one, because it's instantly accessible.
Oh, I think it is, and what it's a bit like the Peter Cushing movies. It's like a Doctor Who curiosity, which I absolutely love. And those little gems throughout the series' early years. I know this is like season 14 by this point, but it's still early days for the series a little bit, in terms of we've come now to the 60th, just kind of last year. So we've got all that baggage now, but it's still quite fresh, quite new. So these little novelties like this, or even it was at the TV21, the chase episode. That was another little novelty thing that you had. It was a bit before my time, to be fair. I never got to hear that until I was a bit more of an adult. Yeah. But I love little bits like that, because it's a fantastic sort of experimental time for the series, doing different things, which is great. I love all that.
Yeah, they didn't take it as seriously then, and that's one of the issues with Doctor Who now, because it has grown into this massive monster with continuity involved with it, and all these different elements and divided fandoms and stuff like that. The Pescatons is still accessible to anybody that wants to listen to it. I mean, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. But you've got to listen to it, haven't you? You've got to be able to say, right, I'm going to give this a try. And that's certainly why we thought we'd do this show today, because Paul and I both love this. You can tell how much I love it as well, because on the back of my bit here, can you see where, you can't actually, but this bit here where little Justin has written on it. Can you see that? Look.
I can just about, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've got on my copy. It was in and out of the sleeve. I think it's got sellotape on the bottom there. This is genuine sellotape there, because I unfortunately the glue went on the packaging, and I didn't have any glue, so I had to sellotape it, which is very stupid. But there we go.
That used to happen a lot to them, to the old vinyls, didn't it? Where the paper would come away and the glue would just. I mean, I suppose in fairness, they didn't think these things would be around 40 years or whatever.
Well, that's it. I mean, I agree. I love this, and I can't stress this enough. But I wonder. I mean, it is the nostalgic part of this. It's part of it for me. I loved this as a kid growing up, and I love nostalgia anyway. We're Doctor Who fans. We all love nostalgia. But I still think it's a great story and a great kind of a piece of Doctor Who. But I don't know if the nostalgia is making it better than it is, or it's just I love it. So I'm going to defend it. I love it.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters, Paul. I think if you love it, you love it. I love it as well. It's brilliant, and it's canon.
Yeah. Oh, definitely canon. Yes. Yeah.
It's canon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No question. This is canon. Doctor Who and the Pescatons is canon. Yeah. That's the end of it. It's part of the Whoniverse.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think they could bring the Pescatons back. I mean, doing a CGI Pescaton would be quite good. Who knows? But
oh gosh, can you imagine how they would interpret it? It'd be quite. Talking of interpretation, let's have a look at that. We've been showing you the actual original cover from the album, which we adore, and it's that one here. This is going to be the classic reiteration of the Pescatons for me. As I said, this is the one I will always think of if somebody mentions Pescatons, because it's just stunning. And look at that whole 70s vibe there. It's so atmospheric, isn't it? And so simple, this cover.
It is, and I love the fact that the artist has taken the image of Tom and Liz from that photograph, because it's almost identical. It's a drawing of the photograph, which is really beautiful, isn't it?
It's stunning, and it shows you how much planning, because this, of course, came at a time when album covers were massive. The designs were huge. They knew they had to stand these things out on the shelf. So again, this is designed and illustrated by Laurie Richards, and the photographs you're talking about, of course, were taken by Suzette Gibbs, and we showed that one as well before. And they are absolutely stunning. This photo shoot where Tom and Liz are together, doing what they need to do for this photo. I mean, these classic photos are beautiful, aren't they?
Well, they are, and I think what Tom's wearing is what he was wearing when I met him, and when I got my album.
Oh, really?
So that's fantastic. I think it's his Seeds of Doom costume. You know, the one with the kind of speckled grey with the patches on the elbows. I think it's that one he's wearing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love the fact as well that Liz is wearing that badge for mathematical excellence years before it actually happened. Yeah, but it's brilliant as well, because when you see certain pictures, you know it's come from, like the one on the back of the album, this one here. You see that there? Yeah. The back of the album, that you just know because she's got that badge on. You think that's from the Pescaton shoot. Yeah. Clayton Hickman, of course, the genius that is Clayton Hickman, also treated us all to a colorized version of it, which was this.
Oh, that's fabulous. Fabulous.
Wasn't that brilliant?
I love the fact that behind them they've got the title sequence, which is lovely as well. That's nice,
isn't it? It is, isn't it? And there they are, there just capturing the magic of this. I don't know. It's a special time, wasn't it? Like that whole special time with Tom and Liz, and that 75, 76, even 77 period. There was just something about that whole thing. It was just so magical.
Well, that's the thing. It's just at that point, sadly, Liz is about to leave, which we'll all be very upset about.
Traumatized for years, yes.
Traumatized, exactly, yeah. And then found out it was Aberdeen, it wasn't Croydon, but that's another story.
That's another story,
yeah. But yeah, it's a lovely, lovely time.
We've got another reiteration here of the Pescatons, because there have been several, and there still are, which is, I always find it quite nice when you're messing around on the internet, and then a fan comes along saying, "Oh, I've done a cover for the Pescatons." There are lots and lots of them, so we can't go through them all, but it's wonderful. I think it's brilliant that this thing from 1976 is still being met with fans, and they're still being creative about it, and they're coming up with their own versions. You showed this version before. This was the CD release.
Yeah, that's interesting. They look like crocodile people a bit on there, don't they?
Yes, this one. It might just be because of my favorite one is always going to be the original. But this one was released by BBC Audio, as you can see there, in 2005. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this particular reiteration.
Disappointing. I thought they had reverse covers, but they don't. In the sleeve, inside the sleeve, they have a picture of the original cover as well, and the back cover. But I thought, like the DVDs, you could reverse the covers, but you can't, which is a shame.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Pescaton there looks really, really good, but I want the fin, and I want it silver. Perhaps if it can be changed to silver, it might be a little bit better. However, there is a silver version I just don't like at all, and this comes from the Target version. Now, actually, yeah, this was novelized. Pescatons was novelized in 1991 by Victor Pemberton himself. It's called Doctor Who: The Pescatons, and it was part of the Target book range. It's one of the last ones, not the final one, because that happened in 94, but certainly one of the ones towards the end of the Target range. But it was a delight to see it anyway. I've read it as well, and it just expands a little bit. Not too much, but it expands a little bit what we were hearing about. But here's the cover. And I never liked the Pescaton that was on this at all. It just didn't do it for me. It looks some sort of airy-fairy 90s ghouly thing, you know?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm not keen on that. Yeah, that's a shame.
It doesn't look frightening at all, does it?
It looks more like a cat than a fish person, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have a fluffy sort of quality to it.
It looks like a cross between a cat and a tet trap or something like that. It's a bit weird, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't come across as vicious. But then again, you know, in the book itself, and it's been years since I've read it, but I do remember thinking there were various elements of the record that you remember, but again, it had been embellished by Mr. Pemberton. It had been changed, altered slightly.
Yeah. You know. I've not read it. I've forgotten it was brought out as a Target book, but it's interesting. I do think a little bit of the Pescatons reminds me of that lovely Chewits commercial with the dinosaur chewing up people and stuff, a bit like that, to be honest. But I still love it, though. Still love it.
Maybe that's how, if it had been broadcast in the 70s, they would have done it.
Probably, yes, possibly.
You know, trying to make up for the invasion of dinosaurs and the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, well, that would have been it. Yeah, it'd be like a glove puppet, probably. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, so listen. Give it. I mean, what would you say to anybody that hasn't listened to this yet? What would you do to recommend this?
Well, I would say go into it with an open mind, because it's, as you said earlier, there are sort of continuity differences between this a little bit and the TV show. So go into it with an open mind. And if you're a fan of Tom Baker, and who isn't, and Liz Sladen, then you're going to love it, because it's a lovely little niche piece of Doctor Who material, recording material. So I would say it's worth going into it if you love Tom and Liz, and it's just a little novel thing to catch up with. And you're not really a Doctor Who fan if you've not listened to it. So.
Well said. And I would recommend it just because it's there. It's just brilliant. And I would also recommend it if you're a parent and you've got little ones. I would recommend that you get it on in the dark and enjoy every minute of it, because I'm sure even in this alleged sophisticated age, it'll put the gumtree up them.
Well, it's what Doctor Who does best. When Doctor Who's scary, it works really, really well. And it's a kind of, at this time of year, you know, in the winter sort of time, it's great to have something like this to give you a bit of a thrill. And I still get, when I listened to it last night just in preparation for this, and it still gives me goose pimples. Even my goose pimples have goose pimples, if you know the line from the. So they give me a real shiver when I listened to it again, and for that it was fantastic. Yeah,
I totally agree. It's just because it's magic, and because you are forced through the medium of audio to use your imagination, which sometimes I question whether or not young people can do now, because everything's explained to them and everything's shown to them on screen. So I do fear that imagination is getting lazy. But this good old-fashioned story, good old-fashioned ability there to get you using that imagination, good old-fashioned entertainment, absolutely 10 out of 10 from me. Get it on, and just enjoy every second of this, because it's a joy. It's a scary joy.
10 out of 10 from me as well, GT. I can't praise this enough. Like I said, a lot of it for me is nostalgia, but like you say, if you like it, you like it. If you love it, you love it, and I do. And I've listened to it probably as many times as I've listened to that as I've watched the 5 Doctors, which is a lot of times. So it gives you an idea how good it is, you know. So it's
outrageous. It's outrageous.
So I mean, so get it. You can get it. There's no excuse not to listen to it. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on any produced form of BBC merchandise, like the season 14 Blu-ray set. You can get it on CD. You can probably get it. It's probably on the iPlayer as we speak.
It's on download as well. You can get it from all the usual BBC availability stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. You know, so Paul's right. There is no reason to not be aware of this, really, or not to go now. You've seen us talking about it and find it, because you can get it where, you know, on all sorts of places. And I'm sure you can still get it from all the usual stockists as well, because it's still out there now, as we say, on BBC Audio. For those of us that want physical media.
I'm surprised they've not re-released it on vinyl again.
Well, they did.
Or did they really? Right.
Yes, they did. They released it a few years ago as Record Day, and it was a massive success.
Right, I didn't know.
With coloured vinyl and all that sort of lovely stuff. So
do you have that version? Do you have that version?
I do, but it's in a wrapper. Okay. That's not getting opened at all. So, but you had to get it. Yeah, but no, but there we go. We've gushed about this enough, I think, Paul. We've both given it 10 out of 10 for this. We are recommending it highly. Doctor Who and the Pescatons. Let us know what you think about this classic audio drama. Vinyl, the original one. Let us know what you think in the comments below about this. Please don't forget to like the video. Do share it so we can spread the word about how nasty the Pescatons are, and that everybody should really, really be ready in case they ever come back. And yes, please don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Paul, as ever, absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me on The Sound of Whosic.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it very much.
Who knows where we're going next? Or does he? Stay tuned for us. We will be back again very soon. Until then, thank you and bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.